Alright, so this is the second semifinal match of the Teaching League. So this is the 2 seed against the 3 seed. I don't know how to pronounce the bottom guy's name. Domize, we're just going to say. He's the 2 seed. He chose to play Corp and chose to play Spark. He had a hand with ETR's Money and Astro, which is usually a keep, but his long-term plan with that hand was pretty bad. He had 2 code gates against Kit, and he would probably score the Astro and then feel sad about everything else he tried to do. So he chose to mulligan. I think mulligan and keeping are both defensible, depending on how you want to approach the game with a hand like that. I think I would have mulliganed. This hand is pretty good. You can drop like both money cards, and you can res them both and put Kit on 3 cards. This is like the Spark dream. What's he gonna do? He's gonna like put Mopus on Workshop and draw cards. Yeah, res 1. Res the pad. Make him feel the pain. If he does that, it might... Ooh. Is he gonna play the product placement instead? Yeah. It kind of makes sense. What you really don't want is you do that play, and then he SMC stim hacks out Mopus and kills your launch campaign for 0 money. That's pretty bad. So this is like a safer play, which actually makes sense because this start is so good. It's probably okay to play it like a little bit safe. Launch campaign gets you 5 credits regardless whether you started on turn 1 or turn 2. He can also put the launch on the product placement here. So I think this is actually a better opening. I guess the question is whether you put the product in a remote or on a central. I like it like this. Another option for Kit is you can host the Magnum on Workshop, and then you can run HQ a couple times, because often you'll open this with an agenda in your hand. He's just going to click up and play Magnum. I don't know. I kind of want to get the Workshop drip going, but this is alright. Not the end of the world. More money. Whew. This is pretty nice. Kind of an unusual draw with no ice and no agendas, but that's often what you want. That is a very good ice. You often want to draw a barrier first against Kit, but can't really complain with a start like this. I would just put the launch on the product placement here. Especially because you have 2 of them. This pad is going to stay up for a long time, probably. I try to be really disciplined, and like next turn as Kit, I would just kill that. But it's really hard to do. Plays the hedge instead of putting down launch campaign, which is interesting to me. I think he really wants to protect it. But given that he has 2 of them and a product placement to put it on, I think I would have just put it down. Probably going to take out the pad here. Do it. Check R&D. Always check HQ instead here, guys. We can see his hand, but yeah, maybe he's watching the stream. But that HQ is a better check. It's more likely to have an agenda. Given that he has played non-agenda cards from the hand, it will have a higher average agenda density than R&D. So that should have been an HQ check. The Sand trash out of R&D is not great. It's just 5 credits in the hole when he's already got a little bit of a slow start. This is a very bizarre draw. Enigma is not a good ice in this matchup. You almost throw it away, like in every situation. It does essentially nothing. Because you have so many code gates to put on the outside anyway that are good, you don't need to put an Enigma out there. The booth is good, even if it, because it always is going to cost at least 4, even if you stack code gates, which is pretty good. You put the Enigma on R&D, which is somewhat short-sighted. I think he's worried he hasn't drawn any agendas yet, that Kit is just going to like hit runners off there, which is a reasonable thing to be worried about. Just that placement of that Enigma is like so bad. I feel like you almost want to, if you don't res it soon, I feel like then when you put a real ice there, you should just trash it. Because it's never going to be worth the money it takes to res. This HQ check is bad because now he's discarded a card to Jackson. And since he had Jackson and clearly doesn't have much ice, if he had more agendas, you would have used Jackson to pitch them. You can be pretty sure there's not agendas in HQ here. There's at most one. Like maybe if he had Astro, he'd be tempted to keep it to try to score it soon. So that's not a great check. Once you're there, trashing the Ash is pretty good. That was probably the best thing that he could hit. You got to get this other pad down for sure. That's going to make you a lot of money. Yep, he's probably going to play the hedge, but I feel like he needs to get a move on. Really sucks to make the booth your first ice thinking long term, but he has such a tempo advantage, I feel like he could maybe just ride that one toll booth for a really long time. Not really take the game late at all. He'll start seeing agendas sooner or later. Toll booth HQ is really bad. You never want to res that. He's going to regret it later, for sure. It's difficult to play these really bizarre draws, though. There are a ton of lines you can take. It's unclear how many cards to draw. It's unclear whether you should ice your centrals or not when you do draw ice. It's very strange. Kills the pad now, which is interesting. I do like killing it. I wish he'd just done it earlier. See, now look at this. You really want to. He has no money. You really want to put Toll Booth on Sand and just start cranking stuff out. I think Kid is looking at take 6 trash pad and then take 8. I don't know what he's drawing for non-code gate ice, I think. Which is admirable, but you don't want to go super late in this matchup at all. You're kind of the pacey tempo deck. You want to put on pressure. And he has a lot of money, but the pressure is drying up. Like, if you give Kit like 2 free turns, your advantage can just disappear. And also, digging for non-code gate ice is less relevant because Lady is already on Workshop. So, like, your barriers are already no good. You gotta go, man. Just put this Archangel on Sand and start scoring. You have to make something happen. It feels like bad placement for later, and it is, but sometimes you have to work with what you have. Interesting to not put this all on the product placement though. That confuses me a little bit. You have to imagine it will get run at some point, and then you'll get your money. Could still be planning to put launch campaigns on that product, but I figure he would have done it by now. Puts the launch behind Archangel. So this is like a bait situation. He wants him to like make some kind of test run play and like run this and then pay 5 and see nothing. It's really, really good play if it works, but if it doesn't, you're kind of wasting your advantage. Ooh, it's gonna work. Ouch. He's gonna fall for it. If you're gonna do this, guys, and you're gonna do the temporary, like the 1-turn run, just get the Fem and Fem the thing. He's gonna pay 5 here, and if you get the Fem, he's not even gonna res the thing to make you pay 1. Maybe you would because he's so rich, but it's a lot less money. If he had a scavenge and he was gonna like keep the thing around forever, it makes sense to get the blade, but just get Fem. That's what it's for. Yeah, it looks like chat knows what they're talking about. Didn't res. That's madness. I guess he wants to conceal what it is, but that would have been like a really big tax. Definitely still doing good on money though, which is nice. Alright, puts the upgrades down. Just put the launch on the product, man. Come on. Well, he puts the NAPD in. Ooh, I think he's playing really, really safe. Like this is very, very passive play. Is he's probably gonna like do the 9 credit res Sansan score NAPD thing. I mean it'll work, but you kinda wanna save that NAPD for later for like the big bait play. Kid's probably gonna play this quality time. This is one of the few games where I feel like the Corp's play, the Corp has had way more decisions to make than the runner. Like Kit's play has been like a little bit automatic. And Spark has had like a ton of options. Woo! You definitely want to score this NAPD so you can crank that Astro out next turn. Yeah, you gotta score it now. Okay, so he's got the Sansan up. He's got an Ash in there. It's looking bad for Kid here. Well, you gotta kind of score an AP at some point. There's 3 of them in there, so usually you end up having to score one. I mean, you'd have to draw 3 out of your 4 3-2s. Otherwise, you get to be pretty lucky. Okay. Just trace 4 here. You don't have to boost this. Because if he pays 4, then he can't trash Sansan. He'll trash the Ash, go to $1. You gain your 1, you score your Astro, and he's still 10 credits away from clearing out your Sansan. Yep, 4 is good. There is an argument to be made for boosting it to 6. No, there's not. If there was an agenda, there would be an argument for boosting it to 6, because that would leave him with 2. But 4 is enough. Yep, doesn't pay, trashes it. Alright, score your Astro. Then he's in a really good situation because any card on this Sansan could be a Global Food Initiative, which can be scored from no counters. So we can put this product placement on there, try to get him to run. He's just going to take it out though. Go down to $1. And this is what you want to do as the NBN tempo deck now, is just put stuff in there and just get it run. Problem you're really going to run into is more ice does not make that server much better, because he's only going to be paying for subroutines. So you have a short-term advantage and you need to cash in by continuing to attack. Yeah, see, like this Archangel does nothing. You could like replace the R&D Enigma with it eventually. That's a pretty good play. But not right now. You need to attack. Put that launch on the product placement too. Drain him for 1 and get some money. Puts the NAPD in there and puts the product placement in there. Now he could use the Astros counter to score the NAPD. This deck does not have 2 1s though. So that is not a great play. The plan, it looks like, is to just advance the NAPD once next turn and just use it as a big drain. Kid has no points, so you make him spend a lot of money. He'll spend 5 on Archangel, 4 on NAPD, 1 for your ID to the product placement, and then 2 to trash it if he wants to. We're going to run HQ, which is an interesting play. You'd think any agendas would go into that remote. Access his launch campaign. I don't know. I think I would trash this. Yeah, now that you're there. I'll have to ask him why he doesn't put these launch campaigns on the product placement. It's usually good to protect them, but when you have a lead that's this big, you can kind of put on pressure like that. Whew. You're definitely advancing this NAPD once. The question is then, do you draw cards or do you take credits? I think you maybe draw one, and then take money. I feel like we must have missed it, but Snackmaster must have seen this sweeps week on R&D. That's probably why he doesn't want to draw cards, which is good play. Kind of has everything he needs short-term in play right now. Ooh, is he doing the Astro score? This is really cautious play. It does put on pressure in the sense that any unadvanced card has to get run. So it's alright. It's defensible. Interesting whether or not you take out this pad now that he's on 3 credits. You can take 6, trash it, and you turn on 7. I just think this is... Spark just finished turn 11, so this pad has been worth like $8. It's really, really good, considering he has 3 right now. Shit, I wish he'd done this a long time ago. If he'd had this Beth going the entire time, it'd be a lot better. Yeah, we're gonna... Ooh, res the product placement in the remote. Yo, so rude. That's a heads-up play. I feel like a lot of players would have missed that and not. You all say that you would have remembered, but I know that you wouldn't have. Okay, you want to put one of the agendas in server 6. I don't know which one, but you put one of them in there. You have to attack. Always attack. The Spark ID ability has been shockingly relevant this game. Usually it doesn't do a ton against this deck, but it has really been a home run. I think interesting fact about this deck is Spark has the lowest win rate overall in the league, but the highest win rate against Kit, and Kit is the most popular deck. So it's kind of a good call to play it in the playoffs if you feel like you know what you're doing. I don't know if it has the highest win rate against Kit, but Kit is its best matchup of the 3, for sure. A lot of thinking here. Don't know about all this thinking. It kind of gives away that you have agendas. You gotta be conscious of that kind of stuff. No one with 0 agendas who's up 6-0 thinks really hard. Oh, so he's gonna make him pay through the nose. This is a donation. Probably gonna stim hack this, which is a bummer for Spark. But this does protect your pad in a sense, where you're doing things so he can't attack your econ. And you'll trigger your product placement too. So this looks like you can install Beth if you want to have that in play. Then take 4 and stim hack. You'll have 14, 9, 5, 3. You can still get everything. Seems okay. I don't want to discard this Beth though. I really want to have that in play. Come on, this is what stim hack's for. Play it. Well, if you feel like Beth isn't useful now, but you don't want to discard it, it means you think it's going to be good later, and it's going to be better to play now than later. You'll get at least 1 credit next turn. So it's at least 1 credit better to play now. I mean, now he can't play it, but doesn't want to use the stim hack. This is going to be worth a couple extra credits on this product placement, because he will not be able to trash it. Alright, this was a good trade for MBN. It's kind of what it's about. You give up 2 points, but you drain all their money and you get some. What's the oops? Maybe thought he couldn't steal it, maybe? Still a good play. Like, if you put the Beal in there, is he really going to run that thing every single turn? You should put something in there. You have to decide if you want to put in a bluff or the real thing. Other option is Jackson, new remote, draw 2, see if you like draw a Sansan. And then if you do, you put that in there, otherwise you put the Beal in there. Crush, what you're saying is true of most long-term cards, but I think Beth is cheap enough to play that it's worth getting down immediately almost no matter what. I think it's very, very rare that you should wait to play it because the tempo hit of paying 2 credits is too high. It's just usually not the case. Like, you got to think, you're down 0-6. You need something long-term going if you're going to win this game. Oof, that is the best possible draw. Put that in there. Thinking too much, man. Yeah. I do like how, I think, what should I say? I think Dom has clicked for 0 credits this game. I want to check. Oh no, not that one. This one. Oh, it's gonna say all the paid campaigns. But yeah, he's never clicked for credits all game, which is pretty good. Do I still have the black bar at the bottom? I do. I hit this. Yeah, then the bar is there, but it's not covering anything up. I suppose it's not a big deal. This is probably better. You can let me know if you'd rather have it the other way, but this is probably better. Yeah. Kit clicked for 2 credits, but Spark hasn't clicked for any credits. Just did now, but that's kind of just because there's nothing better to do. This is he's kind of got it locked up here. Don't really see how he can lose. I guess he could, the Sansen could get stim hacked, but that's, I mean, it's still good. It prolongs the game though. It's probably the best thing Kid can do. Very tempting to fem this Archangel to start saving a bunch of money, but then the second Archangel comes down and just resets the tax on you. If that does happen to you as NBN, make sure you don't trash the first Archangel because then you let them scavenge their fem onto the new one. Oh yeah, he's going to take a build turn, and that is going to cost him the game. Oh no, he's gonna do it. All right, keeping himself alive. Yeah, kill that. All right, well that was the best thing that he could do with that turn. It still doesn't feel great, but props for staying alive. Man, this is the most lucrative product placement. That's a bad draw. Don't want that agenda. That turn, I think I would just now. I think I would have gone Beal and server 6 and then shell gamed my other 2 assets. Putting the Archangel on, the Assassin on there. Right now, this only costs him 2 credits. But once another ice goes down, it's going to be really, really good. The Archangel at the bottom is only going to tax for 2 now, but he has enough money that he doesn't need to trash it. And Kit's so poor that that tax actually matters. So it shows that this game is a good example of like balancing thinking long term and short term. You almost always want to think long term when you're putting down ice, but if you have a big edge, it's sometimes better to just work with what you have to press your advantage rather than digging for ice that's going to be better long term. But especially when you're behind, you don't want to start panic placing ice. You want to be thinking ahead when you're behind because that's how you're going to come back and win. Checks this remote for sneakiness. Drains a buck with the pad. Draws a really bad ice. Gonna put, what was that? Oh, that was another product placement. He's trying to ruse him. Pop-up is actually like an okay ice here because it activates the assassin and costs nothing. So it does that in the short term, and then the money you make from it getting run through kind of pays for the waste of install cost for putting it down. Whereas the Enigma, the 3 that you pay plus the install cost is way too much. Okay, now what do you do? Yeah, the read that this is not an agenda is pretty good read. But it is tough, man. Very tough. Because even if it's not an agenda, well, it can't be a Sansan because they're both in the trash, right? Yeah. It can't be. There's. Here's the other side of it, though, is maybe you're convinced this isn't an agenda, but how many non-agenda things are really left in the deck? There are 3 Jacksons, so you might think that's what it is, but all the upgrades and 2 of the launches are already in the garbage. And then a lot of the other stuff is already in play. So you might think just probabilistically it's pretty high chance to be an agenda, even if the read says that it's not because he drew a card. Checked archives. I don't think that was the right time to check archives. There's very little reason an agenda would be in there. One line is if you don't think he has an agenda, you can play the makers here. Planning to like see some cards and then take more money and stop him from drawing agendas. He's gonna run the remote. Not rezzing. I think you should res here. You should tax him for $2 because you have the pad money coming in and you're gonna get $4 when he accesses these product placements. But this is excellent for you that he ran this. He's gonna trash these. Puts him very low. I think you can make the play here, man. Put the pop-up on there. Put the Beal in there. Hell, even put the other Beal naked so that if he runs it, maybe you score that one. Do the old double never advance play. Yep, puts the pop-up on. If you're not going to do it when he's on 0, when are you going to do it? You might think, oh, he can run through the Archangel, but if you destroy his board, you know, that's pretty good. He's only got 2 points. You know, you could like take out his hand with Assassin, trash the blade, and then Archangel back the Mopus, or trash the Mopus, bounce the blade. It's all good. Kid is going to have 5 clicks here. Oh, putting the Archangel on there and going below 15 is actually okay. That's an interesting reason. Like you're just intentionally throwing your money away. Kind of funny. Alright, puts the Jackson out. Five clicks. So he's not going to be able to painlessly get this deal. It can be stolen, but his board will really suffer. How many spark triggers have we had this game? 3 pads, 3 product placements. None of these launches got rezzed, and then this pop-up. So probably have drained about 7 credits with the ID this game, which is not bad. So what can you do? You can take 8 run remote, almost assuring that you will be losing some of your board, but you have to do it if you think this is an agenda. You can take money and makers. Alright, he's going to check this thing. So putting the Jackson down cost Kit 2 credits, which is good. Yeah, he can get in. But like if he takes 6 and runs, the pop-up puts him to 4 because of Spark, and then he cannot break the Assassin. You boost the Trace by 1 so they both fire. He loses Mopus and Gordian. And then Archangel, oh sorry, he loses Mopus or Gordian, loses his hand. Then Archangel is going to bounce something, and then he steals the agenda. And then next turn his getting in is looking pretty bad because he would need to draw cards to not lose them to Assassin. I mean, really, you can get in a lot of times. But you gotta feel like that's not a winning strategy. Alright. This is good. Time to nail him. This is the best ice you have against Kit. Oof. And actually, in the regular season, Spark defeated Kit by flatline twice, which almost just happened again. It's one card safe. Really tragic would be if he jacked out after this assassin. Alright, we're going to take out his hand. Which isn't that relevant because of the cards necessarily being useful, but it does matter in that it makes it so you can't really run through assassin later. He's not boosting the trashing trace. Wow, I don't know. I mean, as Kit, you're going to pay this for sure. If you bounce the personal workshop with the Archangel, then he's not going to be able to break this assassin really ever. Like, it's going to be many, many, many turns. So that's maybe what he's looking at doing. Okay. Man, Snackmaster really doing what he has to do to stay in the game. Bouncing the Magnum is also fine. He's gonna steal the thing. Yeah, it would have looked really silly if that wasn't an agenda, huh? Would have looked very silly. Well, you did put him on 0 with no Mopus. This is really good. Interns your Ash and put the Beal in there, and you win the game. That's the winning play. Wow, Interns, what a card. There's just one in this deck, but you can see why it's in there for situations like this. There will be no way for him to steal. No, not Sand. Well, I mean, so the thing is, he's going to run HQ now, and you're going to have to res this toll booth because you got all these agendas. So he's going to draw to pad HQ, but it doesn't really matter because he's going to keep him out anyway. Hilariously draws second Mofus with Path. Alright, question is, do you like draw a card, take a credit? I guess you want to take 2 credits because of oh, he's gonna ignore it, isn't he? I mean, he has to now, right? There's no way. Yeah, because he's not gonna be able to trash it no matter what. I think you had to run HQ there. So Ash was probably the better play, but this also worked. Wins the game. So now Snack is gonna choose side. Yeah, it should have been putting those launches early on that like naked product. I think he actually even discarded one instead of doing it. I had this fleeting worry that Snack was watching the stream because of some of these runs, but he assuredly would have run HQ on that last turn if he was, so we can be sure that there's no cheatery occurring. very easy when you play against that kind of never advanced deck to look very silly as the runner on stream. Because just sometimes you think something's an agenda, and so you pay 12 to do nothing, but you know, you gotta do it at some point. It's gonna be an agenda sometimes. Alright, we got PE versus Kit. Gotta remake the game. They didn't show hands. Don't want them to get too attached to their opening hands. Just leave right away. Crush is salty. He had to play against Ruby the Killer. Okay, much better. Oh, we got the Kit Dream. Mopus Beth quality time. SMC pretty good. PE's hand is not great. Got a money card and a Jackson, but no ice. I would probably toss this. It's a playable hand if you mulligan into it. Like, it's not that horrible, but it is definitely a mulligan. This is not much better. Gonna put the pups down and take a credit. This is gonna be really slow. You don't usually want to open like this against Kit, but pup really is only good on your centrals here. So you're kind of putting it where you'll want it to be eventually anyway. All it does is stop them from getting like free checks on HQ. You can Jackson your agendas away now, or you can credit up and play your IPO. I am confused as to why Kit didn't install Beth on turn 1. I don't know what's with these guys. I'm waiting to play their Beths. Like maybe he didn't want to go low on cards, but P didn't have any money. Interesting situation. We're gonna get rid of some stuff here. Probably just hit it again. You don't want to get rid of all your agendas though. You definitely want to keep one. Well, now you have to keep one. You want to keep this House of Knives probably. At least that. The other cards are good, so I would maybe chuck 3 agendas here. Didn't draw any ice though. That is very unlucky. It's good to see that although you can point out like corrections and maybe mistakes in some of these games, wow, it would be so funny if he had a neural in hand here. Kid would lose the game. You just let him steal them all, and then you kill him. Oh, it'd be pretty funny. Ah! Oh. Oh, he could have won the game. He just had to be brave. The old throw all the agendas in the trash, win con. Okay, I don't really know what you do here. I think you gift and you install the Jackson. He's almost certainly not going to check it and trash it because it's very likely to just be a stupid snare. If he does check it, it's whatever because he's only on 5. But if he doesn't, you have a really nice next turn where you can draw a couple cards and play a couple cards. He elected to take a credit instead, which is also fine. It's a little bit more passive, but that's okay sometimes. We got the dyno installed, which doesn't do a lot here, but if you get the blade on it, it does help you with DNA tracker a lot. And with Eli. If they have an Eli on the outside, you can blade it for 2. So that's probably won't pay for itself, but you know, I guess you maybe don't want to lose them both and get in an MU situation later. I probably wouldn't have played it though. Alright, we're gonna Jackson again. Whew. We are not drawing ice in any of these games. I promise these decks have a normal amount of ice in them. I don't know about jamming Jackson again there. There's a lot of cards here you don't really want to discard. Kind of funny that he could have won the game on like turn 3. If only he'd had that neural in hand. Yeah, you could try shell gaming here. I mean, it's usually a bad idea, but it's an option when you're desperate for sure. Kid is getting to get a lot of money here. Okay, we're gonna pay 2 for this. We're gonna access 3. Alright, got a couple points. See, but this is one reason why like attacking R&D early isn't good. Because look, you just helped him draw ice. You got rid of 2 non-ice cards. And now he's drawing an ice. So I talk about this a lot, about how when you steal off R&D early, you actually accelerate the corpse game plan. This is a good example of that. Like now he can put down that, and he can put House and Ben on there, and maybe score something. Could also put the Fetal down, which is way better if it gets run. But obviously less good if it does not get run. Alright, so he thinks that this is going to get run. Which is understandable. I mean, Kit has 5 clicks and 11 bucks. So I would understand not feeling safe with the House of Knives here. Pretty nice if he QTs up and then runs. He'll either have to SMC for Fem, or which costs 11, or pay a lot to break the Kamainu. And you almost certainly want to quality time up before you run, though. Fill up that hand. Yep. The last click run isn't great because if it's a snare and you float the tag, you're going to lose your Beth, which is kind of a bummer. It's doing a lot of work here. Whew. We're going to get the blade and pay $1 million. This is really going to gut him. He could get the fem and then pay 0, but then he'll have to get the blade later. I think getting fem might be better here. You will need the fem eventually anyway. He's going to get the blade and he's going to pay a lot of money. Yep, doing it the quick way. Thank you. This is a disaster because he cannot steal the fetal or trash the Ben. Don't even have to res the Ben here. I mean, he will, but because whatever, it'll get accessed anyway, and it's not getting trashed, so kind of a moot point. Whew! Spicy. Yep, should have got fem. So putting down fetal, way better than putting down House of Knives here, it turns out. I've noticed that I've been playing decks like this in the competitive tab, and it's interesting that the Teaching League players go after these remotes way more. Like they don't just try to play solitaire, which is really good to see, actually. I feel like when I play in the competitive tab, I always just have to jam my better agenda every time because people do nothing so much. But it's good to see these guys playing like an interactive game. You just advance this fetal twice and take a buck. You could advance it 3 times, I guess, if you want. Because it is not getting stolen, that's for sure. Ooh, drawing too. Tracker on top of this Kamainu is a horrendously annoying server. These guys ran this match a little late for my schedule, so I hope that they finish soon. I might have to dip out for a while, but I will leave the game on without commentary if I do have to do that, so that you guys can see how it ends. Hopefully, like, if there's a game 3, we can start that before I go. So I wonder if this can get stolen now that he's waited a turn. Yeah, we're gonna draw 3. Problem is that makes Kamainu cost more. Not like he can break it anyway. Looks like this is just a build turn. Probably put the RDI on there. Oh, what did he do? I missed it. He he ran HQ and stole the House of Knives. That's really good. Oh no, that's woo. It's running Jackson, right? Okay. That that DNA tracker faceplant would have been pretty bad. But running Jackson is pretty good. Well, that is a good steal. All of a sudden, he is halfway there. All right, let's score this fetal. Interesting that PE feels like in a commanding position, but they had such a slow start, and Kit has a lot of points. So I feel like she is actually winning right now. What are we getting? What are we test running? We're gonna clear the Ben. I mean, this is like a good thing to do in general, but this is kind of too much to pay to do it, I think. This tracker is gonna thump. I guess he does have the dino, so it's only 5, but I mean, you gotta res this. It's really good. He's not going to be able to trash the Ben after all, which is a disaster. I don't know what you're thinking about here. Yeah, just res it, man. I feel like these guys are a little bit nervous, so cut them some slack. These are not professionals. All right, well, we're gonna pay 5 for that, and then not be able to do anything. Man, what a good card. Good time to jam this brain trust, that's for sure. Yep, looks good. Kid's probably gonna just get money here. Oh, you probably want to host that, I guess. Yep. Get some cash. Not playing the gamble. It makes sense. It's good hit points. All right, let's score this. Now we're back to PE winning, I think. It was looking good for Kit for a while, but that last run really hurt. This is kind of an ideal ice setup too. This is good placement. The pups don't do a lot, but they also don't really cost anything. And then you got your really good ice on the remote. Alright, well, I told these guys how much time I had, and they did not play super quick, which is totally understandable, but I'm going to have to step out. Um, I'll leave the game up so you guys can see how it ends. Somebody in chat can give commentary, but I won't make you miss the ending. We'll see if I can return for game 3. I'll try to get it recorded either way. But so enjoy the rest of the game.